Hey, we're back here, 8:12 on your Thursday morning. My pleasure to welcome in studio County Commissioner Heber Richardson joins me. Good morning. How are you today?
Doing well. It's good to be here, David.
I appreciate you coming on the show. Big exciting news for the county on Tuesday. You guys made the announcement at your meeting about the parcel of land that's kind of on the eastern half of town that extends up towards the National Forest area east of town between here and Cheyenne. Better known to a lot of people around the area as the Warren Livestock Commission land. That's probably the simplest way I would say to kind of term it for folks. But you guys are now accepting some comment here over this possible purchase of over 5,500 acres of land that it sounds like you guys want to turn into public access, public use basically, and kind of keep it that way. Am I understanding that correctly from Tuesday?
You are. To be clear, there's a little over 5,500 acres.
Right.
There's a chunk in there that's a state section, and the county already has the lease to that.
Oh, okay.
And we've leased that to laramie.youtube. So we already have some things. There's that spot where the city put in the trail just to connect 45th Street and Willett, east of the golf course.
Right.
And just straight east of that, there's a square mile there that we already have the lease to, where Laramie Bike Net is working on building essentially a 1 square mile mountain bike park.
Okay.
And this was all in the works before we ever heard that Doug Samuelson at Warren Livestock was willing to sell this land, and so we want to, or we hope to, see if we can find the money to purchase that, and for a lot of reasons, and I'm sure we'll talk about those here.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that, because this is a $14 million price tag for this, and everybody wants to know where in the world you guys and how are you going to pay for this. That's the biggest question. I know it got brought up by a few folks at the meeting, particularly amid the budget crunch, Heber. How do you go about paying for this?
Yeah, I want to know how we're going to pay for it too. The terms of the deal are that we have 30 days to decide whether we would attempt to enter into the to fulfill the contract, but the contract gives us 360 days, basically a year. So we have a year and a month to come up with the money.
Okay.
Now, with respect to budget cuts, the general fund is funded through property taxes and sales tax, and it's meant for specific things mandated by statute with the elected officials, things like prosecuting criminals, auto titles, land title, the clerk of district court and all the court services, the things, law enforcement, the sheriff, coroner. So that's a fixed pool of money for a certain purpose, and this is a separate project all on its own. There won't be any general fund money going into it. This has to be a separately funded deal.
So some of it was brought up, and I want you to explain this to folks, or maybe a little bit more clearly than even what we tried to do yesterday, and with the story that Sarah has at laramie.live.com from Tuesday, just why you guys feel like you can go about purchasing this land in a day where we have such a tight budget here. Why take on something like this where you guys have laid off employees earlier this year? And why go about something like this?
Well, again, I'm going to tell you that one doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the other.
Right, and I understand that, but people are still going to ask, why go after this?
So this is a chance to answer that. The county, the operations of the county and the funding of those are completely separate. This is a special project, and the reason we would endeavor to do it, although we haven't made the decision yet, but I'm in support of it, and the reason that I am is because I think it has tremendous benefit to the citizens of Albany County, long-term business, economic development, resource protection, recreation, and quality of life. It would be good for the university to attract quality staff and students. The list goes on, and when I've looked at it and kind of laid all the different interest groups on top of each other, they almost overlap completely. There's a few issues out on the edges that, like how the users of the public land would interact with the adjacent private landowners and things like that. But those are issues that can be dealt with. It really is the money issue. That's the issue.
So how do you guys go about? Now, obviously you've got this 30 days, but it sounds like the commission's in support of going after this land. And I don't necessarily want you to speak for the other county commissioners, but it sounds like you guys are in support of this. So what are the steps then to go towards raising this $14 million?
Well, this first 30 days is for us to decide, to look at what options are out there. I know that there are federal grants, state grants. There are grants available for conservation and things like that, and this would fit into that category. There are also some for resource protection, and there are some for recreation. So when you cobble those together, you know, we just kind of have to look at what resources there are out there and see if we can even have a chance. But it's going to be a stone soup project. It's going to take everyone in the community. I actually think that it'll be a unifying project.
Okay, all right. So what are some of the other reasons that you feel like this is going to benefit? I mean, you laid out a lot of them, but what are more specific things that, you know, really interest you guys in doing this? And is there the prospect of the state kind of getting involved with this at the same time, to a degree anyways?
You know, it's pretty new, and it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose. It's pretty tough to contemplate all of these things and have all the answers for you here 2 days later.
Right, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you that they're all of the above. Yes, we could have the state participate with us, and at the meeting there were a couple gentlemen. Lee Knox was one of them from the Wyoming Game and Fish, and they were emphatically supportive of it. So that's almost an answer to your question. If you want me to go on, or you can ask me another one.
We're visiting with Heber Richardson, County Commissioner, this morning here during Laramie Live on KOWB. We're talking about this story that came out from the Commissioners meeting Tuesday about the county offered to purchase over 5,500 acres of land on the east side of town that extends out eastward for $14 million for public use. And then there are some stipulations with this, as I understand it, that the attorney kind of outlined for you guys, that this really is kind of set aside for public access and not really developed, as I understand. Is that correct?
Yes. And of course the commission wouldn't be interested in buying land and then flipping it for a profit or something like that. You know, once it's purchased, it's the intent of its use is clear, and it would be for recreation, resource protection, water, and surface resources. Okay,
and you talked about you know, it's already set that parcel of land aside for Laramie Bike Net that you guys have done. The Casper Aquifer is always a contentious topic, and I would assume that kind of goes into some of the resource protection up there. And
this might make it considerably less contentious, because essentially the pressure to develop goes away.
Okay.
And some of the conditions for use, you know, the way we would use it, that Warren Livestock is asking for, is that they get continued access to their parcels behind it. You know, sometimes they have to, there's some roads up there that they use that would probably stay there and be used by the public, as well as continue to be legal access for them to get to their parcels up behind it.
Okay.
I get the impression that they need a buffer. There's a lot of pressure on that land, a lot of people trespassing already, and there's a lot of limestone. You know, it's probably not that high a value of agricultural land, but it has tremendous value as recreational land. You know, here we live in Laramie, and there's national forest and BLM land and public land all around us, but to get to it you have to get in your car and put your bikes on the roof or whatever you do to get there.
Right.
And this would create a way for people to go straight out of town, straight onto public land.
Okay. All right. So again, this is coming out. So you guys will have 30 days and then 360 days from the end of the 30 days, or will it start once you decide and put forth that you want to actually go ahead and purchase that? Is that when the 360 starts?
360 starts when we sign the purchase contract.
Okay.
If we sign the purchase contract.
So when will you guys make that decision?
At our second meeting in August.
Okay.
That's getting right on 30 days. I guess the point is we want 390 days, which is the 30 days to decide, and then 360 after that.
Okay. You guys are taking public comment. I know, as I mentioned earlier, there was some objection to this at the meeting Tuesday. There were others that were in support of this. What's been the reaction here in this first kind of 48 hours since?
Well, if you watch social media, you see just overwhelmingly positive things. The notion about budget cuts is sort of a red herring. It's sort of, it's not apples and oranges. It doesn't match up. This is its own project. The funds that could be used for this don't get to be used anywhere else, and vice versa. The point is that the general fund funds the operations of the county, and this is because of our legal responsibility and jurisdiction, we belong being the entity to spearhead it.
Okay.
But it won't be done with county funds. It'll be all done with private funds, donations, matches, volunteer help, whatever it takes to get to that number. And we haven't identified all the resources out there yet.
Yeah, well, and if you guys make that decision, you got 360 days to try and compile that. It sounds like you're pretty positive you have a way to get this done.
I'm not positive.
Okay.
But here's what I'll tell you: there really isn't any risk. They want $100 down, and we 3 commissioners have agreed to split that 3 ways. The chairman has to pay a penny more because he's the chairman. He'll pay $34.
$34.
Terry and I'll pay the $33 each, and then so we risk losing $100 of our own money, and in the end, if we can't raise the money or we want to back out, there is no penalty. So I can't see any reason why the public, city government and county government, everyone involved, the university, why we wouldn't try to get there and get that done.
All right, and again, you got 360 days to do it. You mentioned going after a number of different things with grants. That can become cumbersome because you got to write things differently for different grants, and that can take a little bit of time. I'm assuming you guys are also hoping maybe just some individuals step up that want to take part in conservation efforts as well.
I do believe that there actually are conservation groups. If you talk to the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, the Muley fanatics, all of them, there is money out there specifically for this, and that's land that hasn't been able to be hunted. I don't know whether it would be hunted in this particular situation, but it would give access for people to get to land that could be hunted.
Okay.
You probably can't have a public park and hunt on it at the same time.
No. I don't think that would be good for the safety of just people, period. So I know where you're kind of going in that regard. But yeah, the access issue, I think, is something big that people don't realize.
It is a big deal. Personally, I can imagine there being hundreds of users out there every day, even in the winter. I just know that will be the case because of the culture of Laramie and Albany County, who we are, who comes here to travel and play as far as tourism, and who lives here. Personally, I could see there being hundreds of people out there every day. And at $2,500 an acre, $14 million is a big number. But $2,500 an acre is not a big number. The reason it's such a big number is because there's so much land there, and I'd like to see us buy it all and work together to protect the resources and play up there like crazy.
Yeah, this starts basically kind of on the brow of the hill right there by KOWB, and then extends out east and going up the hill basically, and then it's got extensions north and south of that as well, right?
Yeah, it starts actually if you go just past the apartments there on the east end of Willett. Okay. There's a little bit of a wash down there, a dry wash, and it starts just east of that. Okay. And runs all the way to the forest. It includes the towers on Pilot Hill, because those towers that are up on Pilot Hill that you're probably broadcasting from.
Well, not this station specifically, but our sister station, yes. There's a group of us that brought cab towers up there.
That is not on public land.
Nope,
that's deeded Warren livestock land, and so that would become part of it too. And then when you take the north side of the interstate, as it's going up Telephone Canyon, north to about the north edge of Indian Hills.
Okay, all right. So that's what we're looking at. Anything else, Heber, that people need to understand about this? And I mean, I think we've tried to put it on its face value here, but I'm just, anything else people need to realize about this big try and grab for public land and public access here?
I guess what I'll say is that we actually really do want to hear from people, and we're in the process of setting up GIS mapping of it on our website, and then a place where you can leave comments there, and maybe in addition an email. So you say we want comment, and everybody's going to say, well, how do I comment? And so there's my answer.